The stars flickered with cold indifference as the freighter Aurora's wake shuddered under the weight of silence, its hull scarred and its crew trembling. Captain Elias Mercer, once a decorated officer now haunted by disgrace, stood rigid at the command deck, his jaw tight with unspoken regret. A distress signal had cut through the void, jagged and alien, an echo unlike anything human ears had known. Elias whispered, "This isn't a call for help, it's a warning." The moral confidant, Dr. Lyra pressed her hand against the glowing console, her voice steady but eyes wide. "It's rewriting the stars themselves, Elias. Something older than empires wants us to listen." The survivor, Kalen Dross, scarred and limping, growled from the shadows, "I've heard this sound before. It marked the end of my world." The bridge dimmed, lights flickering like dying suns, while fear rippled across the crew. Elias clenched the railing, heart hammering as the cosmic signal grew louder, filling the room like the voice of a forgotten god. The signal cut suddenly, leaving silence sharp enough to hurt. Elias staggered back, his chest tight with dread, memories clawing at him of the colony he failed to save. "It's happening again," he muttered, voice breaking. Dr. Lyra stepped closer, her compassion heavy in her tone. "You didn't cause this. But maybe you're the one meant to face it." Kalen slammed his fist against the bulkhead, sparks scattering. "No one faces it and lives. My people tried." The ship groaned, metal echoing like a grave. The crew exchanged fearful glances, each one sensing they had already crossed a threshold they could never return from. Elias forced his gaze forward, his voice carrying reluctant resolve. "Then we don't run. If the stars are changing, we find out why." In the corner, faint static whispered again, a ghost of the signal, as though mocking their fragile courage. The Aurora's wake drifted into silence, its engines barely humming, as fear spread like infection. Lyra approached Elias, lowering her voice to a whisper. "The artifact. It may not be a weapon, Elias. It may be something meant to guide." He shook his head sharply, haunted eyes clouded with memory. "I thought I was guided before, and it led to thousands dead." Kalen barked a bitter laugh, coughing as he leaned on a console. "Guidance is a lie. Survival is the only truth." Elias turned on him, jaw tight. "If that's true, then why are you still alive?" The room stilled, tension heavy, until a sharp alarm screamed. A gravitational anomaly pulling them toward a shattered planet ahead. Elias stood at the viewport, the shattered planet casting its glow across his face. "God help them, what could have done this?" Lyra joined him, her tone a mix of awe and fear. "Not what, Elias? Who? Someone rewrote the sky here." Kalen muttered from behind. "It wasn't someone, it was that artifact. I've seen its work. Worlds twisted into graves." Elias clenched his fists, torn between retreat and the pull of destiny. For a moment, he saw the faces of those he failed years ago, shadows carved into his guilt. The ship's sensors wailed, detecting energy signatures older than human history buried in the planetary ruins. Elias whispered, "If this thing destroyed once, it can destroy again." The hull trembled as the ship entered the planet's orbit, fragments of debris scraping past like knives. Elias braced himself, commanding, "Steady. Hold course, we need to see this through." Lyra gripped the railing, eyes fixed on sensors, her voice quivering with revelation. "The artifact is here, Elias, buried beneath the ruins." Kalen cursed, limping forward, "Then turn away before it buries us with it." Elias turned to him, fierce, his shame and anger mixing into resolve. "I won't run again, not this time." Silence fell heavy, broken only by the groaning of the ship as it crept closer to destiny. The Aurora's wake descended through the fractured planet's orbit, debris scraping against its shields as Elias barked, "Steady hands, or this world will cut us apart." The crew struggled with fear etched across their faces. Dr. Lyra whispered, "These readings. Elias, this energy predates humanity. It's rewriting the laws of physics around us." Kalen spat, trembling as memories surfaced. "I warned you. This is death carved into stone." The ship's alarm shrieked as gravity shifted unpredictably, panels sparking, casting eerie red glows across the bridge. Elias clenched his fists, his voice raw. If we're meant to die, we'll die, knowing the truth. Silence followed, thick with dread, until a sudden calm overtook the vessel, as though something below had noticed them and chosen to let them through. The ship pierced the upper atmosphere, flames licking across its shields, and Elias gritted his teeth, gripping the railing. Lyra's eyes glowed with reflected data. Her voice urgent. It's here, beneath the ruins. The signal originates from a massive structure buried deep. Kalen snarled, his scar catching the light. You're chasing ghosts. That artifact devours everything. It won't spare us. Elias looked at him with fire. I'd rather face it than run again. The crew braced as turbulence rocked the hull, shaking loose panels, while lightning from the fissures illuminated a vast crumbling city beneath the clouds. Lyra murmured, "This wasn't destroyed by time. It was erased." The words hung heavy as the ship descended into the ruins' shadow. The ruins stretched endlessly, broken towers reaching like skeletal hands into stormy skies. Elias stood at the viewport, voice low. A civilization older than the stars we chart, wiped out. Lyra's tone shook with awe. Their death was written into their sky. Elias, the artifact was the pen. Kalen growled, clutching his chest as if reliving his people's end. And you think you can control what they couldn't? Elias's voice hardened, carrying both guilt and defiance. I think we can learn what they died to protect. As they descended closer, sensors screamed, detecting movement, structures shifting like they were alive. Elias whispered, God help us. The city isn't dead. The bridge fell silent, all eyes fixed on the writhing ruins below. The ship landed roughly within a fractured plaza, its hull groaning against alien stone. Dust rose, glowing faintly in the stormlight, as Elias stepped down the ramp, boots crunching ancient ruins. His eyes darted across carvings, strange glyphs, still pulsing with energy. Lyra ran her fingers across a glowing wall, whispering, This isn't ruin. It's alive, Elias. The artifact's influence still breathes here. Kalen spat, his limp slowing him. Alive or not, it killed everything that touched it. Elias clenched his jaw, his haunted voice steady. Then we learn why. The plaza shuddered, a faint pulse emanating from the earth below, as though the world itself stirred in response to their presence. Beneath the plaza, the crew discovered a colossal chamber carved into the rock, lined with glowing veins that pulsed like blood. Elias froze at the sight of a massive central monolith, its surface shifting with living glyphs. Lyra's voice cracked with awe. The artifact. It's not a relic. It's a living engine. Kalen's eyes widened in horror. This is how it starts. Worlds die because men like you touch what isn't theirs. Elias stepped forward, shadows of guilt and determination in his gaze. If it can destroy, it can also be stopped. I won't let another world fall because I hesitate. The chamber pulsed louder, shaking the ground as if acknowledging his vow or mocking it. The chamber's pulse grew violent, each beat rattling dust from the cavern's ceiling. Elias raised his hand to still the crew, voice tight. It's reacting to us. Lyra's eyes widened as glyphs spiraled across the monolith, shifting faster than she could record. This is communication, Elias, she breathed, awe and terror mingling. Kalen staggered back, clutching his side, his voice trembling with bitterness. It spoke to my people too. Then it burned us from the stars. Elias's heart raced, guilt and resolve colliding. Then maybe we learn how to end it. From the shadows, a younger crewman, Lieutenant Soren Hale, lingered, his eyes narrowed, watching Elias too closely. In silence he touched his wrist console, sending a signal no one else noticed. The chamber groaned, shifting as if alive, stone folding into new shapes. Lyra gasped, It's building a map. Elias, this is a star chart. Glyphs aligned into constellations unfamiliar to human eyes, glowing trails stretching into unknown galaxies. Elias whispered, awe and dread fused, It's showing us where it's been. Kalen barked bitterly. Every point on that map is a graveyard. Elias turned sharply, voice iron, or a warning. The crew fell silent as the monolith flared, projecting an image of a distant system. Lyra's voice cracked. It wants us to go there. Unseen behind them, Soren's lips curved faintly, ambition flickering in his gaze. Back aboard the Aurora's wake, tension coiled like a spring. Elias paced the bridge, his jaw rigid. We follow the chart. If this thing leads to the artifact's core, we end it there. Kalen slammed a fist on the console, snarling. End it! You'll lead us into its jaws. Lyra interjected firmly. Compassion steady. If we run, it will still come for us. Elias is right. The crew exchanged uncertain glances, the weight of choice pressing on them. From behind, Soren stepped forward, his voice calm. Rehearsed, Captain. If we reveal this discovery to command, they'll send reinforcements. Why risk us alone? Elias's gaze cut through him, haunted and resolute. Because command sees weapons where I see graves. We go alone. As the ship prepared for departure, a message crackled across hidden comms, intercepted only by Soren. The voice was cold, commanding, familiar. The antagonist. Report hail. Do not fail me. Soren's jaw tightened as he replied under his breath. They trust me. Soon the artifact will be yours. He cut the comm before anyone noticed, stepping back into the shadows, expression smooth and unreadable. On the main deck, Elias studied the star chart projection, guilt weighing heavy. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder, her voice steady. You doubt yourself, but you carry the weight no one else will. Elias turned haunted. And if I break again, Lyra? Who carries what's left? She met his gaze, unwavering. Then I will. The Aurora's wake broke orbit, engines roaring into the void. The fractured planet shrank behind them, leaving ruins glowing faintly in the storm. On the bridge, Elias stood tall, though his heart was heavy with doubt. Plot course for the coordinates, he commanded. Lyra's fingers danced across controls, voice calm, chart locked. Kalen muttered, bitterness sharp, we're chasing death. Elias shot him a glance, firm and unyielding. No, we're chasing the truth. In the shadows, Soren concealed a faint smile, knowing his deception would soon bear fruit. The ship surged into faster-than-light travel, stars stretching into lines of fire, as the crew was carried toward a destiny none could escape. The Aurora's wake dropped from faster-than-light into a region of space that felt wrong. Stars bent unnaturally, their light twisted into spirals around a massive dead system. Elias stood stiff, whispering, This place, it's been rewritten. Lyra's eyes scanned the readings, her tone hushed with awe. The system has no sun. The artifact devoured it. Kalen's fists clenched, his voice bitter. I told you. It doesn't guide. It consumes. The crew gasped as fragments of shattered planets drifted like bones around a silent core of darkness. Soren kept to the shadows, hiding a flicker of satisfaction. Elias's voice rose with grim resolve. Then here is where we make our stand. The silence felt alive, as though the void itself listened. The ship's scanners locked onto a colossal structure orbiting the dead core, a sphere carved with endless alien glyphs. Lyra gasped. This is no artifact. Elias, it's a forge, something designed to rewrite creation itself. Elias's chest tightened, shame and awe clashing. We thought it was a weapon. But it's worse. It's a god machine. Kalen spat, rage boiling. And you brought us to its altar. Elias turned sharply, his voice trembling. If it can be unmade, then it must end here. The ship drifted closer, the structure's surface shifting, as though alive. In the shadows, Soren activated his hidden comm, whispering, Target acquired. Prepare to move. The words vanished into static before anyone noticed. Within the forge, the crew stepped onto an endless platform suspended above chasms of light. Glyphs swirled beneath their feet, forming pathways as if guiding them deeper. Elias's voice was low. It knows we're here. Lyra's fingers brushed glowing lines, her voice reverent. This is sentient. It's inviting us. Kalen snarled, trembling. It invited my people too before it erased them. Elias fought the tremor in his chest, his haunted voice firm. Then we learn why it chooses. As they advanced, the glyphs flared brighter, forming an image of Elias himself. The crew gasped. Lyra whispered, "It recognizes you." Elias froze, caught between destiny and dread. Soren's eyes narrowed with quiet envy. The forge erupted with projection, vast histories of civilizations consumed, rewritten, erased. Lyra's eyes brimmed with tears, whispering, "It's not just power, it's choice. The artifact decides who thrives and who burns." Elias gripped his head, tormented, "And it chose me to witness this." Kalen's voice broke with rage. "It didn't choose you. It marked you for death, like it marked us all." The monolith shifted, displaying Elias leading armies, rewriting galaxies, his face twisted into tyranny. Lyra gasped, horrified. "It's showing what you could become." Elias staggered back, shouting, "That's not me." In the shadows, Soren smiled coldly, thinking, "But it could be me." The vision faded, leaving the crew shaken. Elias stood trembling, guilt carving deep lines across his face. "It's not prophecy, it's a threat," he whispered. Lyra touched his arm, steady but pale. "You are not what it shows, you choose." Kalen turned sharply, voice raw. "No, you'll become it. Every leader does, and will burn for your pride." Elias's voice cracked with anger and despair. "I won't repeat my failures." In the silence that followed, Soren stepped forward, voice smooth and calm. "Perhaps it doesn't need you at all, Captain. Perhaps it needs someone willing to embrace its gift." His words fell like poison, betrayal blooming. The forge pulsed, acknowledging him. The forge rumbled as though amused, its glyphs flaring brighter with every step Elias took toward the core. He muttered through clenched teeth, "If this is fate, I'll rewrite it myself." Lyra's eyes followed the living walls, awe mixed with terror. "Elias, the machine is binding to you. It feels your will." Kalen's voice cut sharp, furious. "No man should wield this. You'll damn us all." The crew trembled as glyphs bent into shapes resembling human figures, their movements echoing forgotten battles. Elias's chest heaved, doubt gnawing, but he pressed forward. In the shadows, Soren's hand hovered near his sidearm, his eyes burning with ambition, whispering, "It doesn't need him." The chamber convulsed as the forge projected visions of countless galaxies bending under one will. Elias's face twisted in pain as the images seared across his mind. "It's showing me conquest," he groaned. Lyra stepped forward, her voice firm but desperate. "Fight it, Elias. You are not its vessel." Kalen's shout cracked like thunder. "You already are. Look at yourself." The projections twisted, showing Elias crowned in fire, ruling with endless armies. He screamed, shoving the vision away, sweat pouring down his scarred face. The forge pulsed louder, its glyphs beginning to spiral towards Soren. He smiled faintly, whispering, "Or perhaps it has chosen better." The forge's voice, neither male nor female, filled their minds, vibrating with ancient weight. "One among you carries the flame. One must ascend." Elias collapsed to one knee, teeth clenched. "I want, let it use me." Lyra's voice wavered, then "Reject it. Show it who you are." Kalen sneered, his bitterness boiling. "You can't reject power that big. It bends you and you break." Soren stepped forward boldly, arms outstretched, eyes blazing with hunger. "Then he'll take what he refuses." The glyphs swarmed around him, wrapping like serpents of light. The crew gasped, fear rising as the forge began to crown its betrayer. The forge's glyphs wrapped tighter around Soren, lifting him slightly into the air, his voice echoing with borrowed power. "I will not just witness history, I will write it." Elias forced himself upright, rage igniting his haunted eyes. "You're not chosen, you're consumed." Lyra cried out, stepping toward Elias. "You must fight him, not the forge. Fight him." Kalen's voice cracked, caught between horror and fury. "It's happening again. Another world damned." Sparks of energy burst from the walls, tearing metal from the crew's suits, the chamber quaking. Elias squared his shoulders, defiance burning. Then this ends now. The forge pulsed, answering both men. The chamber shook as Elias and Soren stood locked in the forge's gaze, two men bound by ambition and destiny. Soren's voice thundered, now laced with alien tones. You are too weak, Elias. The galaxy deserves strength. Elias roared back, haunted but unbroken. The galaxy deserves choice. Glyphs surged between them, one side bending toward domination, the other resisting with sheer will. Lyra cried, tears streaking, Elias, don't let it own you. Kalen staggered back, muttering, we are already dead. The forged pulse rose into a deafening crescendo, as if demanding one truth. Which man would it crown? Silence broke as Elias stepped forward, his voice a whisper drowned by thunder. Not him. Not me. Humanity decides. The forge screamed as energy spiraled between Elias and Soren, the chamber trembling like it might collapse. Elias planted his boots, muscles shaking. You're not its master, Soren. You're its pawn. Soren's laughter echoed, warped by alien power. No, Elias, I am its heir. Lyra shielded her eyes from the violent light, crying, you're both tearing it apart. Kalen stumbled forward, rage spilling from his scarred face. Then let it die. Let it all die. Glyphs lashed out, tearing stone and steel into shards. Elias clenched his fists, voice raw. If it crowns you, the galaxy burns. If it crowns me, I become a monster. I won't allow either. The forge pulsed harder, demanding blood. The forge flared with visions of possible futures, each more terrifying than the last. Entire galaxies ruled by Elias's iron hand. Others reduced to ash beneath Soren's tyranny. Elias shouted through the agony, I won't let destiny write me into a tyrant. Soren's voice split, half human, half alien. Destiny bends to those who seize it. Lyra screamed, tears streaking her face. Elias, your strength isn't in power, it's in refusal. Kalen fell to his knees, clutching his head as the visions clawed at him. The forge pulsed, demanding an answer. Its voice a thunderous chorus. Choose. Elias staggered, haunted, yet in his eyes flickered the spark of defiance. Soren lunged forward, glyphs wrapping his arms like blades, striking at Elias. Elias blocked, sparks of alien energy exploding across his scarred face. You're no leader, Elias, Soren hissed. You're a ghost clinging to failure. Elias roared back, haunted but fierce. Better a ghost than a butcher. Their clash shook the chamber, each strike tearing rifts in the glowing walls. Lyra shouted, desperate, stop before you both become what it wants. Kalen's eyes burned, muttering, this is the end. I've seen it before. But Elias, battered and bleeding, forced Soren back a step, teeth clenched. His voice carried more than defiance, it carried choice. I decide what I am. The forge shrieked, fissures spreading across its surface as though it would tear itself apart. Elias pinned Soren against a glowing pillar, shouting, this isn't your destiny, it's a curse. Soren snarled, spitting blood. Then I'll wear the curse like a crown. Thorge's voice roared through them both. Only one flame endures. Lyra rushed forward, placing her hand on Elias's arm, crying, don't let it consume you. Choose humanity, not power. Kalen limped closer, voice ragged, if either of you win, we all lose. Elias trembled, his haunted past flashing before him, and then he whispered, then, I refuse the crown. The forge pulsed violently, as though enraged. The forge exploded in light, wrapping Elias and Soren in blinding glyph storms. Soren screamed, his ambition unraveling as the machine turned on him. Elias's voice thundered, carried by every ounce of defiance, no one rules the stars. Lyra shielded her eyes, tears streaking, whispering, he's breaking it. Kalen collapsed to his knees, watching in awe, maybe he was meant to. The forge howled, its voice fracturing as the glyphs shattered into fragments of light. Soren's body was hurled into darkness, vanishing in the collapse. Elias stood in the maelstrom, battered, broken, but unyielding, refusing the crown even as it tore him apart. The chamber fell into silence, the god machine defeated. The forge collapsed into silence, its glow fading into drifting fragments of light. Elias staggered, bloodied and exhausted, his breaths ragged. Lyra caught him before he fell, whispering, "You stopped it, Elias. You broke the chain." He shook his head weakly, haunted eyes staring into the void. "No, I only delayed it. This was just one crown." Kalen rose slowly, his scarred face wet with tears he wouldn't admit, muttering, "For once, maybe survival isn't the only truth." The chamber shuddered one last time, then cracked open, spilling the crew into the quiet abyss of space. They watched in awe as the forge dissolved into starlight, a grave undone. Back aboard the Aurora's wake, the crew sat in silence. Elias slumped in the command chair, his voice hoarse. "The galaxy thinks leadership is power. It's sacrifice." Lyra leaned against the console, her voice soft. "And you gave everything without taking its crown." Kalen stared at the void through the viewport, scar catching faint light. "Then tell me, Captain, how many more crowns are waiting out there?" Elias's silence was answer enough, his haunted eyes heavy with guilt and resolve. The ship drifted through stars that no longer bent, quiet for the first time since the forge. The stars stretched endlessly before them, no longer warped by the forge. Lyra whispered, "Perhaps the universe will heal now." Elias leaned forward, his scarred face pale but defiant. "Or perhaps it waits for someone else to take what remains." Kalen gave a bitter laugh, shaking his head. "That's the curse of humanity. We always reach for fire, even when it burns us." Silence followed, heavy with truth. Yet in Lyra's eyes lingered hope, soft and fragile. "But sometimes," she said, "we choose to let go." Elias met her gaze, a flicker of peace breaking through the storm inside him. In the quiet of the crew quarters, Elias sat alone, staring at his reflection in the cracked mirror. His voice was a whisper. "I am not the man they saw. I am not the tyrant." His scarred hand trembled, then steadied as Lyra entered, her tone soft but resolute. "No, Elias. You are the man who said no." He closed his eyes, guilt and peace warring within him. Kalen's voice echoed faintly from the corridor, harsh but honest. "The galaxy doesn't need kings. It needs survivors." Elias breathed deeply, the weight of the crown he refused pressing heavy, but lighter than before. The Aurora's wake sailed into the unknown, its crew scarred but alive. Elias stood at the viewport, shoulders squared, whispering, "The stars will write their stories, but this time humanity will choose the ink." Lyra stood beside him, her hand brushing his, a quiet bond of trust. Kalen lingered behind, silent, watching with eyes no longer filled with only bitterness. The void ahead was vast, dangerous and unclaimed. Yet in that silence lived something new, possibility. The final echo of the forge whispered faintly across the comms, fading into nothing. Elias closed his eyes, and for the first time, he smiled.